I would say that becoming a teacher is one of the most transformational events in my life, other than probably raising children.
It's a real pleasure to welcome everyone inside the classroom, inside Waring. This happens to be the classroom, Le Salon, where I teach this year. In this particular project, you'll see an array of classrooms and classroom experiences and a variety of teachers and teaching styles and pedagogies at Waring, and we've asked each one of our faculty what the experience with the vocation of teaching or being a staff member at Waring School brings to them, personally and otherwise.
I think that's kind of an important detail.
What teaching has done for my writing, I'm a screenwriter and a playwright, it mostly has gotten me into touch with like the fundamentals of why I wanted to write in the first place.
Il y eut une tempête, une terrible tempête.
Il est emporté très loin.
I never thought I wanted to be a teacher. I had all kinds of other aspirations in life. I would sit in my house and read books and take classes and study things, and it was sort of like, now what do I do with it? Becoming a teacher and being able to sort of interact with students and learn more about the subject just through their questions and just through their own engagement with the material. Like, I've learned so much more about the subjects that I know about, and I've learned so much about new subjects just by interacting.
What do you know about the brain? What's like the number one thing that our brain does? Searches
For patterns.
When I came to Waring, maybe I saw my vocation a little bit differently, and I started in the library and mainly working sort of administratively and organizing things. Now I see teaching as so much more of my vocation, and I love teaching robotics particularly because it's so project-based, and so I can do my best to set up an activity and pose a challenge to the students, but you just never know how they're going to respond, what questions they will bring to it. There's so many different ways to get a right answer, and so it's really inspiring.
Right? It's like the Grim Reaper, but with hot coffee.
41.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
I always go back to John Lewis's quote about make trouble good trouble. That's something I try to live by, and that's something these kids are professionals at.
De quelle couleur est la pâte? La pâte est orange.
In this position, I'm constantly reminded how kids push limits and what kind of quote-unquote trouble is necessary, what kind of trouble is not necessary. And it's a super important life lesson for me. It reminds me to question everything in my life. And I think that keeps me alive, and it keeps me moving forward, and it keeps me human.
Quelle couleur préfères-tu? Je préfère violette. Violet.
As an artist, transformation is at the heart of my process. There's this moment of like an opening and a shift and the support it takes to go through the transformational process. And so I think as a teacher in the classroom and as someone who cares for and tends to our community, I think that transformation is always relational. What I appreciate most about being here is the relational aspect of our teaching and our learning. All of us teachers are learners alongside, and so I think we're always in this kind of active and interdependent transformation.
My first theater director was just a loon in the most wonderful, lovely way. What she did for me on the first day I met her was she called my signature on the sign-in sheet eccentric. And I was 12, and up until that time, my handwriting wasn't even graded. They just wrote NI, needs improvement. But here, in this theater class, not only was I welcome, I was welcome. Like, really is who I am. And that's what we try to build here.
And I love the topic sentence of the third paragraph. Zeus loved Hera dearly, but...
Teaching at Waring gives a lot to me. I actually get to explain things that I'm really passionate about to students.
Like, it should be traveling a bigger distance. It should take more time, but it doesn't.
A long time ago, I realized that one of my biggest joys is sharing things that I know that I find really beautiful as ideas with a group of students who will respond to me, will value it the way I value it. One thing you get after doing something for a while is you know where the pitfalls are. So I am much better at anticipating now what someone might not understand and really trying to start in such a way that I guide them away from those pitfalls and explicitly name the pitfalls, help them see. I often say to the students that I'm throwing logs in front of their feet and then helping them step over them.
I think the difference between looking at a vocation and a job is just something you do, where a vocation is something that is more purposeful, something that gives you meaning. And so I think that looking at teaching as a purpose, as a vocation, as a calling, instead of just something that is done, is a really important way of looking at the teaching profession.
For me, it's about joy. Being able to know that I can impact and influence young student athletes' development regularly is exciting to me.
What I really love about working with the kids who come through this process at Waring is that they come to it the same way that they come to everything else that they've learned at Waring. They are already very self-aware, they're good critical thinkers, they have a voice. And when it comes to working with me to find a college that fits them, they really engage with the process in that same way. Bard is the most analogous to Waring of all of those, which some people love. I think a lot of it has to do with the faculty and the curriculum here, because they're taught from a very early age that what they think matters and to believe in themselves. And it really does make this process, which is a stressful one, just a little bit less stressful.
Working with other teachers, but also watching kids makes me remember the kind of person that I want to be and the kind of teacher that I want to be. Even today, I had a really great interaction with another teacher. It just reminds me that everyone's doing their very, very best, and it makes me want to do my very, very best. So I find that super rewarding. Sometimes I watch teachers teach and they're like a different person in the classroom because they're confident and they're almost like performing, but they get into their own sort of energy, and it's inspiring to watch.
Working behind the scenes, being able to help families and interact. We do this so that the teachers and staff and others can do their job and support the mission of the school and help the children to be successful.
Most pertinent to probably my role here is my Deja role. It lets me sort of work on a lot of the advocacy that I've spent a lot of my adulthood trying to sort of develop my skills in advocacy, and so being able to do programming, really try to help the school sort of move along in its Deja process and become a more inclusive place for everyone.
All of our behaviors, how we model ourselves, how we carry ourselves, our vulnerabilities, our mistakes, we are modeling for our students how do we recover from mistakes. So I just feel like my whole person is an educator.
We have to first think about our question and what that question is asking and where we want to go with that question.
We know that if you have that word but in a sentence, what's the important part of the sentence?
The next part.
The next part, right?
Waring is for me what it is, I think, for everyone who's here. Waring gives each of us a tremendous freedom, and of course the responsibility that goes with that freedom to make the place what it is.
Anytime you can be involved in something that allows you to be your full self and bring all aspects of yourself to the table, that's a win, and that certainly happens here all the time. What I love about teaching is that it's an immediate feedback loop. I think Waring is really adept at being able to see people in all their complexities. And as a teacher and as dean of faculty and just as a human being, I feel that I'm allowed to be who I am here. That's a gift, to get to be seen for who you are day to day.